So there are habits that entrepreneurs have. Some of us have habits that are great. Some of us have habits that are not so great. And so in the payment space, I get an opportunity to work with all kinds of businesses, from brick and mortar, whether it be grocery store, hotels, restaurants, adult entertainment, to clothing stores, all the way up to your online business. It could be drop shipping, it could be just regular e-commerce, it could be drop shipping from China, which we try to stay away from, or it could be drop shipping where you're shipping your products right from where you're located, right? And then it could be like your course sellers, it could be your coaches, just all of the above. And we notice certain patterns. When I say we, the industry itself, especially when it comes to analyzing the business, when it comes to underwriting. And you hear people, especially some of the more successful people, they tell you that they had their funds held at one time. They don't necessarily always tell you why. Some of them do because they're business people and always look for lessons to learn so that they can grow from it and or not repeat it again. And I remember hearing some business owners, they were selling a certain type of way and they got all their funds held. And then now they don't have those issues anymore because they have corrected those habits. Whereas some entrepreneurs have habits that they consistently do without even realizing it. You know, I was talking to an attorney today from the bank, and he was saying to me that, well, maybe this other attorney would just back up now or not even wish they had to kind of put themselves out there. And my response was, listen, they're shady people, right? That particular person who I'm talking about, this particular attorney, I said, he's shady and the people around him are shady. They won't even realize it. To them, what they do is almost like getting up in the morning and before they leave their home, put shoes on, right? Because they're habitually do things that are shady and unethical. And you know, we've all heard this thing. I was talking to another guy today, one of our sales guys, right? Really smart guy. We were negotiating a contract that will allow us to produce debit cards and credit cards and things like that, right? This is something that he had been working on a long time ago, something that I wanted to do a long time ago. And we finally came across a company, I won't say the company's name. They were promising him this, they were promising him that. And I told him, I said, you know, it sounds good, man, but let's jump on a call. He swore to me that, you know what, no, this is what it is. So finally, we jumped on a call with the guy. It was almost like an interrogation because we had to like freaking pull the information out of him, like literally pulling teeth from his mouth. At first he told my guy that, you know what, the only thing we do is we charge this upfront fee. Everything that you do is all yours, right? That's all your profit. And I was like, dude, it's easy to say one thing, right? And so we started to notice certain things that he would say in the conversation. And immediately I thought to myself, okay, well, what else is like that? And so finally, after an hour of interrogation and pulling his freaking 4 teeth out, right? The molars or whatever you call those things, right? He finally said, you know what? He didn't say it verbatim, but he came around to basically admitting that it wasn't what he said it was. The way it is that not only do they charge an upfront fee, but they also take a portion of your profits and it's an undisclosed amount. Like, come on, right? So when him and I were talking today, you know, I said, hey man, make sure you send that contract back to me so that I can kind of go over and review it. I said, because I'm sure there are other things that are like that. And I said, remember, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And so I take that a step further, working with one of our sales reps on our team. And here's a client that this particular sales rep has been getting paid off of for probably over a year now. From my review, it seems like the client was overcharged, right? And so now I just come across it. I just acquired the business. And so the client is going crazy. The client is like, hey, I need my refund. It's a medical establishment. They weren't even allowed to charge certain amounts to their clients. So I'm constantly reaching out to this particular sales rep, right? I won't say his name. I should, but I won't. And I'm just gonna call him Rick. I'm not gonna say his real name. I'm just gonna call him Rick. First of all, I email him, no response. I call him, no response. And the reason I call him and not get a response is because my team had been reaching out to him on behalf of his client. Prior to that, I was able to get in contact with him because it was in reference to how he should be paid or making sure that he gets paid out. And so, long story short, no one could get in contact with him, me, nobody, be it email, phone call, anything, until I sent him an email saying, hey dude, this is going to affect your commission. Then immediately, no way, this should not happen.
No, God, please, no!
So I constantly try to get him on, this is a grown man, right? Older than me. And so I constantly try to get, I said, dude, why wouldn't you say something all this time? Why wait until it gets to this point? Why not respond, right? Why not get on the phone and at least discuss it? And his response was, it wasn't his fault. I said, well, you made 50% of the profit. Whatever we've taken or received since we've acquired the business with this client, we'll give it back. right? But we need for you to at least call the client back. And he definitely refused. He won't respond via email. He won't answer the phone calls. And I thought about it, and I shouldn't be shocked, I said to myself, because this is how this particular sales rep does things all the time with most of his clients, right? And it's just a habit. And then you have other sales reps who are the total opposite. And that's just one example, right? And those are habits that entrepreneurs have. And they don't even realize it because it's just what they do all the time. So when you and I or somebody else gets frustrated with them, we don't understand this is what they do. This is who they are. This is who they have become. Habits become, it makes or breaks you at a certain point. I remember also working with another lady who's a sales rep, and these are just examples. This doesn't mean that anyone's bad or everything they do is bad. And I'm just gonna call her, to change her name, I'm gonna call her Issa. I won't say her real name. Issa definitely takes care of her clients, right? This is a person who is on top of their paperwork like nobody's business, right? Every I, every slash across the T, every decimal point in every single number on top of it like yesterday, right? Really a person who's almost like a freaking accountant, but they're a salesperson that provides, in my opinion, from what I understand, good customer service, so at least their clients can get in contact with them. And so this is a person who is meticulous with paperwork year after year after year. And finally, after I acquired the business, I said, hey, listen, for me to be compliant as a company, right, and to comply with the bank and Visa and MasterCard and the regulators, I need to have documentation from you with your name on it instead of me just paying a ghost. He's like, oh, well, you should automatically know who I am, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, I can't do it. You must give me something. So I step on a limb and try it. Oh, I'll find the paperwork, right? And then I say, hey, listen, come on, like my attorney's all over me about this and I'm having to share this paperwork also with the bank. And she's like, oh, well, I'll look for it in the garage. I'm like,
wait a minute.
These are all documents sent electronically. Now you're telling me you printed out the document and you have to look for it in the garage? I thought about it and I was like, you know what? I'm trying to help this person. I've always been straightforward, extremely transparent with this person. This is a person who I've actually bent over backwards for, actually sacrificed for as well. And then what happened is all of a sudden, when my attorney gets involved and tells the attorney who she's communicating with, right? Because my business partner and I went in separate directions because of some very, very unethical behavior. When I say unethical, taking money from sales reps, taking money from clients, moving money all over the place, opening up bank accounts illegally, to be honest with you. Anyway, she's aligned with this kind of person, right? And so she's communicating with him and his attorney, which I find to be extremely interesting.
Interesting.
And then the day before it's time to get paid out, after telling me she can't find the paperwork, she doesn't feel comfortable signing any, I gave her so many options to resolve it. Hey, here, create your own paperwork, redline it, right? Change it so that it fits you. Or here's another one, like whatever we need to do, but I need to have something on file. She couldn't find anything until the last minute. She finds the document electronically, not balled up or in the shelf somewhere in the garage, and sends it to my ex-business partner's attorney, who then sends it to my attorney. And so I thought to myself, like, man, why in the freak would this woman who's over 50 years old have to lie to me? It's not like she's going to jail. It's not like I'm going to jail. I'm trying to help her get paid, especially after all of our conversations, me taking out time, 2-3 hours just to talk with her, communicate with her, to make sure she understands what's going on, giving her tons of documentation to back up anything that I'm saying. It's not just verbal conversations, right? Because people like to say anything, but they will rarely back it up and put it in writing, right? And I thought to myself, how is this person when it comes to money previously? What is this person's habitual habits? And when it comes to money, there's always something funny, I thought to myself. I'm telling you this because it's a way for you to not get so frustrated when people do certain things. And it's because we're not considering the habits that they've created. Sometimes they don't even know. Like I said earlier, the one guy talking to the bank attorney today who was talking about another attorney who represented another guy who was extremely, I'm not even gonna say, but the kind of guy who does everything but doesn't have his name signed on anything, that one of those kind of guys. It's like putting on shoes to them. It's just what they do. So hope this helps, but keep that in mind. Pay attention to people's habits as opposed to what they say or what they may do in the temporary moment. You have to look at how they behave over a period of time, over repetitive actions. I had to experience this myself with my former business partner. There were certain things that I noticed and I just saw them again and again and again and again, but it wasn't a big enough flag for me until the moment where now, boom, I realized, oh my God, this guy's been doing these same things to me the whole freaking time, right? And it's just the habit that people have. And no matter what, most of these people won't ever break these habits because, first of all, they won't admit to them, they won't acknowledge them, and it's not a big deal. And also, now look at yourself in the mirror and think about what kind of habits you have. I have to do the same thing myself, and I have to assess what I do because everything that I do is, of course, not perfect either. But what you can do, you can at least see other people, right? And then hopefully you have enough mentors and counselors and people around you who are truthful and who care about you enough to also remind you of some of the habits that you have. Hope this helps, and I hope that you subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. Be good.